Hello, Lynn.
Sorry, 8 minutes.
या कुन्देन्दुतुषारहारधवला या शुभ्रवस्त्रावृता या वीणावरदण्डमण्डितकरा या श्वेतपद्मासना या कुन्देन्दुतुषारहारधवला या शुभ्रवस्त्रावृता या वीणावरदण्डमण्डितकरा या श्वेतपद्मासना या ब्रह्मच्युतशङ्कर प्रभृतिभिर्देवैः सदा वन्दिता सा मां पातु सरस्वती सरस्वती।
Sonia Jai Shri Krishna, Jai Jinendra, Jai Swaminarayan, Sairam. A very warm welcome from Women to Women and a Happy New Year to you all. I hope you all had a good time. I would like to say welcome to you all. This is our first session, beginning of the new year. Today's function, as you know, I have invited Amisha Ben to talk about every woman's strength and energy gets diminished due to emotional wounds and traumas. Oops. Which in turn affect your hormones and health. So mainly when somebody passes away and we go through a trauma, and it is difficult to, you know, get back to our routine. So, can I invite Amisha Ben to talk about, introduce herself and talk about the subject we have chosen today? Amisha Ben, all yours.
Hello and good evening, everybody. I hope you can hear me. I can see Pragnaven waving very enthusiastically. Thank you for that. I would like to say hello to everyone individually, but we've got quite a few, and a lot of names are either similar or I'm seeing iPhones or iPads. Right.
Yes.
So I'm going to skip any embarrassment to myself in case I say something wrongly or I address the wrong person. Right.
Also, we would like all the videos on because we don't want to speak to a blank screen.
That's a very good idea, Panavin.
Yes.
It's always nice to see the person rather than a black screen with a name on it which says iPad.
Yes.
Before I go ahead, Panabin, I think the sound from your side has a bit of an echo. I'm not sure why. Is it just me hearing it
My
that way, or
volume
is
is loud.
everybody hearing it with
It's
an
fine
echo?
now. It's fine now? Yeah.
No, it's still echoing quite a bit. It sounds like you're in a huge auditorium.
Okay. All yours.
Okay, thank you very much. So very warm good evening to everybody, and a very happy new year once again. I hope you all have had a great start to your year so far. My festive season usually extends till the 3rd of Jan, so this is a perfect time actually for me to be on this forum, because any time before that would have been a complete chaos for me. And anytime after that, I would get back into a full-on rhythm of coaching and training clients. So it would become really busy and hectic, because start of the year, as you know, everybody makes resolutions. Everybody wants to make a big change in their life. Everybody starts to focus on themselves. So it does get very busy at the start of the year. But having said that, super delighted to be here. I think Panaben, I love her enthusiasm and her dynamism. So thank you for firstly connecting with me. So she saw something about me on one of the groups that I posted on, and she instantly called me up, which I was very surprised about, because nobody does that usually. People will always message and they say, oh, when can you give me a time next month? But I love Panaben's dynamism. So thank you. Great initiative. And that is actually one of the superpowers of women. Whether we realize it or not, taking the initiative is a big superpower for all women. And I think a lot of women don't do it enough. So something that we must all learn from Panaben and try and adapt and incorporate into ourselves is this, power of taking the initiative, and who knows what happens, right? After you take initiative, there lots of magical things can take place. But anyways, so about me, my name is Amisha. I'm a Gujarati, born and brought up in Bombay. So I still call myself a Bombay girl. I cannot say Mumbai as a city name. And I've been in London for the last 16 years, married to a North Indian. My married name is Bharadwaj. My maiden name is Joshi. So I have the whole Brahmin community in me now. And my son, I have a 14-year-old son who's got the full-on, Brahmin genes, if I may use that term. No, I'm not a believer in any of the caste systems or anything, but just giving everybody perspective for anybody who would like to know. Personally about me, I am 50 years old. I have been in the hotel industry for all my life as a career, always on the business side. So I've always done the business sort of strategy, sales, international travel, all that kind of stuff. I don't know how to serve water in a restaurant, or I don't know how to lay plates in a restaurant, because that side of hotels I've never done. But my journey, because of being in the hotel industry for so long, has been very dynamic. And as an environment, I got to meet a lot of different kinds of people. I got to meet superstars. I got to meet presidents of, the world. I got to meet even somebody, for me, who's like an icon of everything, was Nelson Mandela. So across my career, I met a lot of interesting people. And what was always curious for me is, how is it that these people became so big, not successful. I was never enamored by people's success or money. So if I met Bill Gates because he was staying at a hotel, that'd be like, oh, okay, it was fine. But for me, it was always the other people that mattered, the leaders. Who are these people? What makes them how they are? What is it that differentiates them from everybody else? Why do they have these special qualities, or how did they end up getting them? And across that constant questioning, I ended up learning a little more, developing myself. I'm a certified trainer of neuro-linguistic programming. In short, it's called NLP, in case anybody has heard or not heard of it. And neuro-linguistic programming is basically the study of success, the study of excellence. What makes somebody successful? What is going on in their mind? How do they think? How do they behave? How do they speak? The power of language is and the impact on our minds. So I studied all of that, and I wanted to do something for women. Being a woman myself and having had a very, I would say, roller coaster of a life from my teens onwards. I realized that, women, because we all have so many different roles that we perform, so many different hats that we wear, and it doesn't matter how successful we may be in one area of life. If we're not good homemakers, then, there's this negative stamp that comes on us. If we are good homemakers, but we don't have a career, then that's another negative stamp that comes on us. And if we do both, then, oh, why are you not doing both as effectively as you're expected to? Then there's another stamp, right? So women always have some kind of judgment coming on them from society, but that's how it is, right? We can't change that at an individual level. But the point is, how can we develop ourselves? How can we empower ourselves? And as I call it, how can we become more emotionally fit, so that it doesn't matter what the society is, it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks, so long as we are empowered in ourselves, we know, that we have given 100% to whatever our cause is. Okay, so if the cause is homemaking, 100% homemaking. If the cause is your career, 100% your career. If you're, whatever it is that you desire, how can you make that happen for yourself, but without disrupting anything else? So we're not saying, let's rebel. We're not talking about rebelling. We're not talking about being feministic. We're not talking about throwing everything and saying, okay, I'm walking out to do my own thing. Not like that. But within the responsibilities that we all have, within the roles that we play, how can we play them as effectively or even better than what we would imagine? Okay. And for that, we all require what I call emotional fitness. And what is the meaning? Let me ask everybody, what do you think the word emotional fitness means? Please feel free to speak, open forum, just unmute and go ahead. Hi, Pragnabin.
When you say that emotionally fit means you are stable, you can take up and down at a very, I would say, in par.
A neutral level.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a nice understanding of it. Hi, Bhavnabin. Yes.
Yeah, hi. So I would say it's being emotionally balanced. So you're neither low nor high.
Yeah.
And if you do drop in any of the situation or rise in any of, you know how to balance yourself.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Because drops, we don't know, right? We can never predict. There can be a drop tomorrow, we won't know. COVID happened, nobody knew what hit us, right? How can we predict? We may have everything in our life going great, but life is unpredictable. Situations are unpredictable. So emotional fitness helps you to think on your feet, right? So, and as you said, Bhavna Ben, that even if you do experience a drop, how quickly or how effectively can you come back to being neutral so that you can find solutions to whatever it is that you are experiencing? Okay. And this is something that I feel should be taught in schools, because when I studied neuro-linguistic programming, I was like, what? How come this was not taught to us when we were kids in school, right? These are the basics. And to be very honest, this is what our Hindu religion has always taught as a way of life. You know, we've forgotten the use of yoga and meditation in the true sense of it. We've forgotten the real essence of it. The power of all these things are, you know, if I may now use the scientific term, how to keep your neurology flowing effectively. Okay. And what is our neurology? It's basically your brain and your body connection. So how the brain is sending messages to the body using the nervous system. So our nervous system, or the neurology, is like a set of electric cables that run. If you see, our home has enough wiring, right? We've got all sorts of cables running through our home. One cable doesn't work somewhere, we know that, you know, internet has gone off, lights are not working, something has gone, stopped working somewhere. So our neurology works in very much the same manner. Okay. It's just that because we can't see it, it's all happening inside of us, we can't see it. That is why we have methods like yoga and meditation to reset constantly, to keep it reset and keep in that neutral phase, like Pragnabhet said. Okay, but we've forgotten the real essence of it, and we try to use it in different ways. We try to use meditation as medication, which means when we experience some problem and we get anxious and we get stressed, then we say, oh, let me go and meditate. But you cannot meditate in a stressed out state. It's not possible. How many of you have tried that and it's worked or not worked? How many have tried meditating when you're stressed, firstly? All of us have tried it? I think so. Because somewhere we've read that, yes, when we are feeling something, we should meditate. Okay? But that is not a remedy. Meditation is preventative. It is a way of life. It has to be practiced on a regular basis for us to have the benefits. So it is not wrong. It is very, very essential. But how do we use it is the question. Okay. And the second part is, how can we use the fundamentals of yoga? How can we use the fundamentals of meditation? How can we use the fundamentals of spiritual knowledge, which is ingrained in our culture, to adapt it to the way we live in today's world? Okay. So a lot of our physical fitness we pay attention to, right? I'm sure a lot of you do some yoga. A lot of you might be going to the gym, or a lot of you might be doing your park walks together or something like that. So physical fitness we pay attention to, but our emotional fitness we forget, especially, and I'm going to keep saying as women, because that's how our conditioning is. Okay, our range of emotions is very different to the range of emotions that men experience. Yeah. So it becomes even more essential for women to focus on this in comparison. I'm not saying men should not, but I'm saying in comparison, because of the range of emotions we go through and the effect on our body, because that's the second part that I'm introducing, is how our moods impact our hormones. And every woman knows the word hormone is sometimes also a curse word, right? For us, we all know that, something or the other goes wrong, our hormones go out of balance, and then it affects our body, it affects our weight, it affects all sorts of things, right? Now, emotions and hormones are interlinked. This has been scientifically proven, right? And when we're going through emotional ups and downs, it has an impact on the hormones. And let me also tell you, the hormones is nothing but the 7 glands positioned in our body in the place where your 7 chakras are. Did anybody know that? Did all of you know that? Yes. Some of you knew it, some of you didn't. Yeah. So 7 chakras that we call, and we do meditation for, and we do chakra balancing exercises for, is nothing but the 7 locations of the 7 key glands in the body, which secrete the 7 key hormones. Okay. So the chakra healing will happen spiritually. It's a spiritual practice, but physical practice is something else. That what can you do to balance the hormones once they go out of sync? Okay, not everybody may be experiencing it, but a lot of you may have experienced it, had crossed over and felt like, oh, thank God it's done, right? Because from the time we're 13, 14, and we, get into a maturity stage to the time we cross over to 60, our hormones are with us, right? And we go through all sorts of things. So key phases in a woman's life is obviously puberty, motherhood, and menopause, like the 3 big phases that we go through, the big changes. But anything in between is obviously needs to be dealt with as well. So when I started running emotional fitness programs, and I've been doing this for almost since the pandemic, actually, because that's when a lot of women needed that support at the time. I had a doctor who came onto my program, and I was very surprised. I was thinking, why is a doctor on my program? Doctors know everything. They know how to deal with all this. They've studied more of it than I have. And she's a gynac herself. So she's a gynac who helps, she focuses on fertility. But she was experiencing a whole lot of challenges herself. 1, it was a pandemic. 2, she was very, very busy with the hospital. 3, she had to stay away from her daughter because of the pandemic. There was all of the distancing and all of that kind of stuff was going on, because, considering she worked in a hospital. So that started creating a lot of emotional trauma for her because she couldn't see her daughter for so many days, right? And to make things worse, the relationship started getting affected. We've all heard of stories during the pandemic that people's relationships at home started getting affected negatively because of, obviously, everybody was stressed. So, that stress you can't help, but it only hits against the other person in the house. So as a doctor, and as obviously as a woman, mother, all of these roles that she's playing, she was like, I don't know what's going on with me, right? So she worked with me for almost a year, where she was coaching with me privately to get herself back into a state that she wants to be in. And the proof of the pudding is that she has now collaborated with me to bring the medical side of it into the emotional fitness program. So now we're running this together, where I focus on the emotional fitness methodology, and she brings in the medical side of it, physical side of it, from the point of health and well-being. Because she's a doctor, she just proves everything that I say scientifically, because I just take our spiritual concepts and say, how do we apply them in today's day and age, right? The other proof of the pudding is, in her case, that she has been nominated in one of the Mrs. India events, because she's a doctor herself, serving women, serving the community, and having gone through her own journey, she's now been nominated as a contestant on a Mrs. India event, and hopefully she should win it. But without the coaching that she did with me, she would not have been able to take that step, not have the confidence in herself to go forward with it. She's not here right now because she's based in Bombay, so she wasn't able to join this call. It's a little late for her. So she and I are running a program together. I will just quickly share my screen so that you can see what I'm referring to. Yeah, I hope everyone can see it.
Yeah, we can.
Great. So my program's been called Become Emotionally Fit. Like I said, that's been running for a few years now. But now we've collaborated it and said, become emotionally and hormonally fit. So instead of just working on your emotions, work on your physical health as well at the same time, because believe it or not, both are interlinked. It doesn't matter what we say or what we think. There is always a cause and an effect, and these two just carry on and on. Okay. And ready to thrive is very necessary because women need to thrive. Women need to thrive, otherwise the community cannot thrive. Last January, the funny thing is, I'm seeing exactly a year, this day last year, I ended up getting COVID and I tested positive for it. So suddenly I was like, locked up in my room. Even though I was feeling fine, I was locked up. And then my mother-in-law phoned me to see how I was doing. And she called me and she's like, देखो तुम बस संभाल के रहना, घर की औरत जब बीमार होती है ना तो घर बीमार होता है. Right? She said that to me, like, घर की औरत बीमार होती है तो घर बीमार होता है, right? So I asked her, I said, so which means that if I am doing well, that means my home will be doing well, right? So she's like, nahi, aise nahi. Like, in this, she got a bit scared. She thought I was just going to go off and do my own thing. So I said, no, I'm not going anywhere. I'm just saying that if the woman is sick, then the house is sick. That means the opposite is also true, right? When the woman is thriving, the woman is healthy, the woman is happy, the woman is successful, the home is also like that, isn't it? Because the same energies transfer. So why not focus on doing that for ourselves, right? So the program involves, it's a 7-day program. We focus on naturally improving our energies, emotions, as well as our hormonal state. In 7 days, what we are sharing with you is the methodology, tools, strategies, techniques to improve your emotional state. So these are methods, right? So where you feel, firstly, you need to know how to understand what is it that you're experiencing. A lot of times, clients come to me and they say they're experiencing anxiety because some doctor has given them that word and put them on medication. And then when you assess it, you're like, oh, okay, this, what you're experiencing is normal. It's part of the emotional ranges that every woman experiences. You don't need medication for that because it's not a medical condition, right? It's just an emotional state. So once you start to understand that, once you understand how it's working for you, you can take control of it, right? The other thing is, how do you balance your hormones? Right? Firstly, how do you, without going through your blood tests and everything else, to firstly identify whether I have a hormonal imbalance or not. Yeah. And how do you break out of the vicious cycle? Because these two will always be dependent on each other. They will always affect each other. So how do you break out of that vicious cycle if there is one? So how do you become healthier and happier? And of course, thrive in your life, because you need the energy to do what you want to do. Right? You need the health. And you need the emotional energy. Without the emotional energy, we can't do anything. And of course, how do you be the woman you wanted to be? Every woman has this desire. You know in your mind what kind of woman you want to be and how close or far you are from that. Whether we like to admit it or not, that is the truth for every single woman. So how can you start on that journey? By first focusing on the two basic fundamentals, is what the program is about. So I call it a WhatsApp bootcamp because once everyone registers, I just put them into a WhatsApp group. It becomes easier to communicate, chat together. Everyone uses it. The program is for a very, very nominal fee of £15, where you get all of the expertise of 2 experts, not one. I will share this link with everybody. There is more information about me and about Dr. Snehal over here as well. And the different modules that we cover. Okay. Once you get an experience of how this works in 7 days, because 7 days is a bite size. Yes. And all of the programs that I run are very, very bite-sized, which means that you will learn something on one day and you'll have a small activity so that that learning gets into your unconscious. Small activity to do. Okay. So each day we will learn something and we will do something. The doing is what helps us to retain that information, and it becomes unconscious, where we don't have to go back to our textbooks or notes or, PDFs to read anything. Okay. So it will always be learning, doing. So the 7 days is more of an experience for you to understand how this all works. Okay. And should you choose to, you can go on further to work with us for 21 days, where we go a little more in depth. But we will talk about the 21 days a little later, not right now. Right now, I think it's important that you get an experience and an understanding of what this involves. So in the 7-day program, we will do easy, simple, fun daily activities, nothing complicated. I like to have fun. For me, fun is very important. If it's not fun, I don't like to do it. Okay, so I like to make all my activities fun. You'll be in our WhatsApp group. You will get guides and PDF books to refer to. Daily check-in with Snehal and myself and feedback. And of course, like I said, opportunity to go to the next level. There's a lot of other information from people who attended programs with me or been coached by me, and they've come on and shared their experiences, which you can read in your time. And these are women who, again, women from all walks of life all over the world, right? All going through different challenges. Somebody's dealing with grief, somebody's dealing with financial issues, somebody's dealing with a bad marriage, somebody's dealing with lack of confidence. Somebody, in fact, this one woman was amazing. This one, she very happy and very content in her life. And she was probably the first one in my program who was in that state, like, oh, I'm very happy, I'm very content. Everything is great in my life, but I have zero confidence to do what I want to do. Right. And that was bothering her. That was bringing her down. So she, that we don't have to have problems to become emotionally fit. We don't have to be experiencing traumas. We can just be in a state where, like, I know something's missing. I'm lacking the confidence to do what I want to do. I've settled my children. My husband is fine. My home is settled. Now it's my time to do what I want to do, but I'm not confident. So how do I get there? So how do I complete that loop for myself? Right? How many of us think of ourselves? Let me just stop my screen. How many of us actually give that time to ourselves and say, what is it that I want to do that fulfills me, fulfills my heart? Now that I've raised my children, now that I've, built my home, built my life, but what is it that fulfills me? And how can I initiate and align myself to doing that? Right? So I can only see 3 raised hands because the others' cameras off. So if you're raising your hands, I can't tell. So put it in the chat if you don't want to put your cameras on. Tell me in the chat, how many of you really make that effort to fulfill yourself, your heart? Nice. Lovely. And why not, right? Why not? So only when a woman thrives is when the rest of the world thrives. Okay. And I also call it emotional Shakti now. And I can say it in this group. I can't say it to a lot of the non-Indian clients that work with me because they don't understand the term Shakti. Well, we know, right? Shiva and Shakti. So without Shakti, we're nothing. So Miss J. Rugani, is it a Mr. J. Rugani or is it using Miss? Okay. You tried but never happened. That's interesting. I would like to know a little more on that. Please feel free to speak.
Yeah, I try to take opportunity, but when I try to do something else coming up.
Yeah.
Like family members' ill health or the death in a family or somebody asking attention from me. That means I have to be there, duty-bound person myself. I have to be there. They look upon my shoulders. So that means I just, again, lose the track, what I want to do, what I want. Yeah, so that's happened many, many times. But I still haven't given up.
I like that. That's the spirit.
I'm still looking forward. One day I can do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So a lot of our emotional fitness emotional fitness, like I say, is also about understanding where our boundaries are, right? I'm not saying don't do the duty. Don't do the duty. Don't shirk your duty. If it's yours to do. You have to. But a lot of times, I think as women, we know that we get carried away. We don't know how to draw boundaries because we've never been taught. It was never a concept, right? As a woman, you just have to do what you're told to do.
Yeah, it's
Or you
that's
have
what
to serve who you have to serve. It's like that, but that's not how it is.
that's what
So,
is happening. That's what is happening time and time and time.
in fact, I must share one more story then in that case. So one of the oldest clients I have is, she's about 74, I think, or 75. And her ambition has been to have an institute, not an institute, but more of a place or a space to create for women in her community to thrive, like a physical space, right? And she's got the space, but wasn't getting any support. Every time she was trying to get it done, either the family would interfere and say, sorry, the space is not yours, it belongs to everybody. And then it becomes that whole property family war, on who's going to get the property, etc. All of that drama. And she, again, came to me for help on saying, okay, this is, I'm 75, nearly 75. I don't know how long I have on earth, but I really want to do this as my legacy. And I'm having all of these challenges with the family, and I don't know how to deal with these humans, right? Because even though they're my sons or daughters or, sisters or brothers or whoever it is, I don't know how to get through to them. They don't understand that this is my desire. I want to do it. And everybody's gone into a fight about the property, right? So she worked with me, and I, obviously helped her out. And now she is she's managed to get her approvals. She's starting to clear out that space from what it is and, building a nice yoga studio over there. So hopefully there'll be future programs I'll be able to run in that space with her. But this is, so where I'm coming from is that it's never late and never give up, of course, but also what is the practical strategy around getting it done for yourself, right? Because there will never be an opportunity. We have to always make our path. We always have to create that road for ourselves and not break relationships or spoil them, but how do you handle those relationships? Different methods, different understanding, different kinds of tact, where you are able to communicate what you want. A lot of times we cannot communicate because we get emotionally charged, and then we end up arguing, or we end up screaming, or we end up crying, or we end up yelling, or something or the other, right? But we're not able to connect and communicate what is truly our desire. So a lot of these things is what I cover in the programs that I run. Pragnaben, you were raising your hand. You wanted to share something. Okay. Yes. So effectively, that is it. Any questions or clarifications that you all would like from me? If you have any questions, please ask. I'm happy to answer. I'll share the registration link. A lot of the calls will be on Zoom, but they will be recorded. They will also be in your time, which means that if anybody can't attend because you're working or something like that, the recordings will be available to you. And of course, there will be interaction in the WhatsApp group. So nobody will miss out on anything. Yeah. Somebody unmuted. I couldn't see who, in case there was a question. Sorry, I can't tell. Neeta Ben, the time commitment is, so the sessions will not be for more than an hour, in the sense a Zoom call. And max, I'm saying an hour because we will be learning something. We'll obviously interacting to make sure that the learning is, absorbed. And the commitment for the activities around the learning is maximum of 15 minutes a day, maximum, I'm saying. Okay, so if we're talking, for example, if we're doing a meditation, learning about meditation and how it actually works, to support that learning, you'll have a 10-minute activity around it that you can do in your own time, in your own space. The only thing I will ask is that you do the activity, because otherwise you don't know what experience you're going to get. That is the only thing. Yeah. So time commitment, the idea, as I say, is always to make it easy, knowing that how many roles we play, knowing how many commitments we already have in our life. The idea is to make this easy rather than difficult. So easy and fun, of course. There might be a bit of singing and dancing, but I can't say, okay, at the moment. Singing, at least. Whoever's up for the dance, I'm ready to work with you on that as well. Yeah. So easy stuff is what I'm saying. It all depends, Nina Ben. It all just depends. There are times where there are 600 people in the group. There are times where there are 60 people. There are times where there are 10 people. I like to keep the groups a little bit smaller so there is an, more personal attention given to everybody. The too large a group is not, I mean, for me, it's not fun. I can't then connect with everybody. So it depends. It all depends. So this one starts next on the weekend. So we're starting it on the weekend so that everybody is around and you can attend. And the rest of it you can carry on doing during the week itself and keep connecting with us in your time. You're welcome, Neenabin. Yeah. Any other questions? I've shared the link. I think Pannaben, you also shared the link for registering. Yes.
I did.
Yeah.
Can you talk more about hormones?
Yes. That's a very good question. I know I went through the emotional side. Now, I'm going to cover more of it in the program, but just to give you a very, very quick understanding is hormones are secretions from the different glands in our body. Okay, let me just put it very simply. I'll give the physical side. They're secreted from the different glands in our body, and their job is to keep the body regulated and in balance. Okay, but we also have something else called neurotransmitters, or just very simply put, brain chemicals. Yeah, which trigger a certain reaction in the body. So for example, if a lion came into your room right now, what would happen? What would you do if a lion came into your room right now?
Scream.
You'd scream. Yeah. Anything else? Anyone else? I might get up and run.
Flight and fight.
You'd run.
Yeah. Okay. Now,
Fight or flight.
Yes, exactly. Fight or flight. But this is something that every species does, right? If we were not human beings, if I was a deer, I would do the same on seeing a lion. I would run because I'm scared for my life. So the point is that our brains have evolved in the same way as animals have, that we have certain reactions which are very instant. And these reactions come from how our brain is perceiving a situation. Yeah. But if we went to see a lion in the zoo, would we run? No. Why? Yeah. So it is our perception, right? That if the lion is in a cage, which means we are safe. But if a lion is not in the cage, we are not safe. So based on our perception, there are certain things that our brain is doing. And it is sending information to the body to perform a certain action. Very simply. Okay. So a lot of times there is no lion around us, but we're still scared. We still experience fear. We still experience a situation or a feeling like, oh my God, I need to be out of this place. I can't be here. I need to get away. Right? So why is that? There's no lion. There's no, lack of safety. But we still experience those kind of feelings because that's how our brain is perceiving certain things. and it is asking our body to do a certain function. So brain is saying fear, tell the body, run. Pick up your legs, move. Okay? Or warn everybody else that this is danger by screaming. Now, if you think about this, we have a brain chemical for every single emotion that we experience. I'm only taking fear as an example, because it's easy, everybody experiences it. But there is a different chemical for anger. There's a different chemical for love. There's a different chemical for trust. There's a different chemical for anxiety. And we, on a single moment basis, will be experiencing one or the other. So your brain is constantly sending chemicals to your body. The 7 glands are constantly throwing out hormones. And the hormones will be in balance based on what your brain is telling your body to do. So if you're in a state of fear, if you're in a state of fight or flight, the body will stop the hormones from functioning so that it tries to keep you safe. So what happens then? If it stops the hormones from functioning, they start going out of balance. Right? So if we were not living in the urban environments that we lived in, or we live in, we were living in a tribe in the jungle, same things would be happening with our hormones. Exactly the same things based on our stage of life. But our brain perception would affect them in a different way. A woman in the tribe does not face hormonal imbalances because they don't have the number of layers of perception that we have in the social environment we live. So I'm going to cover more of this in the program, obviously, a little more detail with the facts around it so that you understand. And even you don't have to go through a neuroscience course, but at least it's important for you to know this so that you can help yourself. Yeah. So constantly, any kind of brain chemical will affect your hormones all the time. The more stressed you are, the more imbalanced. The straight impact is on your thyroid gland. Stress has a direct impact on thyroid. The reason being, thyroid is here in the throat. And when we are stressed, a lot of times we cannot express ourselves. When we are anxious, we cannot express ourselves. We clamp up, we fear up. The lack of expression starts impacting the thyroid gland. Straight, direct. Okay. So a lot of all of this is already known in our Hindu sciences, but we've never had the scientific understanding of it until today.
So
Yes.
all these hormones, imbalance, emotions are mental states brought by the neuropsychological changes, variously associated with thoughts, feelings, behavior responses.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's not a line. It's not like a single line that goes from a start to a finish. These are all interconnected. They're intertwined. So what breaks the pattern for you will be different to what breaks the pattern for somebody else, because we're otherwise in this constant state of a vicious cycle. Okay. So until we do not resolve how we are feeling, until we don't resolve or reframe our thoughts, until we don't resolve what we are seeing in our minds, because with us, already we talk a lot, right? Women love to talk. We love to talk. So considering we love to talk, can you imagine how much we talk inside our heads to ourselves? That mental chatter is constantly going on, right? In your sleep also, it must be going on. So can you imagine those thoughts, those words, those feelings are constantly connecting with your hormones and doing something or the other to them. So it doesn't matter how many gyms we go to, it doesn't matter how many supplements we take, it doesn't matter how much HRT, whatever we do, until we don't resolve the core of how we are feeling, what we are saying to ourselves in our mind, this whatever we do will only be a temporary relief. Okay. But the other side to balance hormones is also to support it with the right kind of nutrition, the right kind of exercise, the right kind of what are we eating day to day? How are we supporting the body? There's a lot of times your body may just need that little bit of support to feel better. How many, I mean, I'm going through this whole perimenopause stage right now, and it's horrible, right? Yeah, I'm sure you'll all know it. It's like horrible. But the point is, while going through it, what are we saying to ourselves? Hi, Bhagwan, mane kem thayua, manej kem thai chhe. You know, only I have to suffer it. Maharaj mathe a baddu padyu, bija badda sara, bija badja, everyone else is hale and hearty. I'm the only one struggling with this, right? So the moment we attach those kind of feelings to what we are going through, boom, take a little more hot flash, take a little more no sleep, take a little more weight, take a little more, keep taking, right? It's like that. So the more feelings we have, the more problems we create for ourselves. So how do we break this cycle? Right? And that method, that the cycle can only be broken when you understand where it's coming from for you. Because my mental dialogue is different to yours. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like from a mechanistic perspective, emotions can be defined as a positive and a negative experience that is associated with a particular pattern of your brain as well, psychologically activity.
Yeah. So even if we don't, I try to avoid the whole psychology side of it, because it can be too much of a label. And already as women, we don't want to be labeled with anything right now, right? We just want to be free and happy and fulfilled. Anybody who doesn't want that. So forget the psychology of it. So long as we can deal with, we can understand, we can accept, yes, it's happening to us, part of who we are as human beings, but how do we deal with it and make improvements? Vimla Ben is saying something. My daughter is also going through. Yeah, okay. Yes, I think it'll be nice for her to come and join the program, Vimla Ben. She will definitely learn a lot. In fact, there are a couple of other women who are going through the same thing, who are there as well. So they will definitely get a lot of help. So the timings are that the Zoom sessions will be in the evenings so that everybody can attend. If you can't attend, there'll be a recording shared with you with the information that you can watch in your own time and complete the activity in your own time. Yeah. I can see somebody's got a name as emotional. I'm wondering who that is. I hope that's like positively emotional, like good emotions, you know, happy ones, joyous ones. So yeah, I'm going to share that as well in terms of how do you break that cycle to sort of move from feeling low to start feeling higher energy and emotions, of course, because that's very, very essential. It's a skill everybody should have. These are life skills for all of us. Yeah.
So emotions are complex.
They are. Oh,
Yeah.
gosh. So if anybody says that women are complex, now you know why. Because we have our emotions going through all of these different rhythms. With men, it's very linear. They go through, you know, for men, it needs to be like, oh, am I able to provide? If I'm not able to provide, then there's something not right. But if I'm able to provide, everything is good. My family is looked after. They're safe. They're secure. There is a home. There is food. We are good. That's where it stops. With women, it's more dynamic. With women, it's more like, oh, if I'm going through hell, then who will feed my son? Who will feed my daughter? Who will look after them? You know, all of that kind of the questions, constantly questioning ourselves, constantly feeling guilty, constantly feeling bad about, you know, not doing enough or not being enough. So it ranges. So they are complex, but I promise you, I can make it easy for you to understand and work with. Because that's something if I say I have one superpower, that is just simplifying all the complex things. That's my superpower. I like to simplify things and make them easy and fun. Yeah.
So really speaking, you actually extroverted people are more likely to be social and express their emotions.
I don't think that is true.
No.
I think a lot of these are just studies, and people have maybe researched a few individuals and put in certain statistics.
Mhm.
But
Okay.
I like to work on the bigger spectrum, saying forget the psychology of it. Let's deal with the humanness of it, that by default we're
Yeah.
women, we are gifted with the feminine divine energy, we just haven't tapped into it enough because we don't know how to. If we knew
No.
how to, we'd be doing it.
No.
Yes.
Emotions is often the driving force behind the motivations.
Oh, absolutely. It is the only force.
Yeah.
It is the only reason why we do or we don't do something. So a lot of times, how many of us struggle before making a decision? How many of us struggle with,
I think majority of us did. Majority of us does. Yeah.
yeah. I'm in the middle of trying to make a decision on something right now. And for the last 2 months, I've been in that I should not do this, I should not do that. If I do this, this will happen. And very honestly, if a client came to me with the same situation, I'd just say, you're talking nonsense, just go and do it. Everything will be fine. But I've taken 2 months and I've still not arrived at a decision on something that I'm going through at the moment. So we go through it, but the point is, how can we come back fighting, winning, all of that?
I think Mayuri Ben wanted to ask you something. She raised her hand.
Okay. Hi, Mayuri Ben.
Ben? She disappeared from her screen.
So Jay
Ben, are you
Ben is
there?
saying thinking for others before yourself. Yes, we do as women, we do. But how can we also think about ourselves in addition? Mayuri Ben, you wanted to ask something?
No, sorry, I raised a hand to you say how many of your last
Decisions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
decision.
We struggle sometimes to take action. Yes.
Yes.
Right. So yes, there are a lot of complexities, but like I said, the idea is not for all of us to go and become PhDs in neuroscience and psychology and all of that. We don't have the time. I don't think we have the interest. We just want to get on with our lives in a happy and a healthy way. And
Absolutely.
and how can we do that and continue doing it on a day-to-day basis without needing somebody else's support, right? We might do it collaboratively, which means we might do it together because it's more fun, but we don't have to be always dependent on somebody to tell us what to do. We are able to manage it ourselves. Yeah, that is the idea.
So emotions involve different components.
They do.
Yeah.
Well, the experience is the same in the body because we experience emotions in our body.
Yeah.
Right? If we see somebody in pain, we will all have a sympathetic feeling, compassionate feeling towards the person. So we will all experience it in the same way physically. But why we experience it will be different to all of us.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the why is what we want to get to. Why is it that some of us experience certain things, some of us don't experience certain things? And the moment you understand your why and your root causes, you'll be far more empowered. That's for sure.
You'd be more expressive behavior and psychologically changes will be there.
Neurological, I would say, not psychological. Yeah,
Yes,
I will always address
neurological.
neurology more because
Yeah.
psychology is just so if I say the neurology relates to the brain, which is the physical, the factual part of your body.
Yeah.
Psychology relates to the mind, right? And the mind can we know it's not a physical, tangible thing. The mind is based on our life experiences and what is it telling us about anything, right? When we started this conversation on Zoom, I'm sure a lot of you who came and met me for the first time might have already something going on in your mind without you realizing it at all, right? You all must have had some thoughts going on in the mind, which would be different for each one. So that is not something we can quantify or deal with. Our brain and neurology we can deal with. It's physical. It's in our control. We can make the changes we want to make. And yes, control the mind as well. Through those neurological changes is when we start controlling our mind. In a good way, not in a bad way. The idea is not to control from the point of keeping a tab on it, but control from the point of knowing that, okay, this thought is not needed for me right now. I don't need to be thinking the worst of everything in this moment, right? I don't have to be thinking like, oh my God, the world is going to end, right? I can focus my thought on what do I need to achieve and, what do I need to do to make it happen for myself. So our emotions will always be going through the rhythms that they go through. That's a part of being woman. And we've studied this in our Hindu mythology as well. Our Hindu goddesses represent that very well, right? So
Yuriben has raised her hand again.
yes, please.
Yes, I want to ask, if you've got a problem with the nerves, for example, the foot is numb. That means the nerve is not working properly or it's trapped. Can that be healed by healing your emotions?
If it is connected or if it is caused because of emotional trauma, it might be relieved. But if it's obviously already created some kind of a medical problem, then I can't say whether it can or not, because it all depends. Like my mother had dementia and her dementia progressed very quickly and she passed away in a very, very, a very short window after having the dementia. So we could not help her with that side. And her trauma was more because my dad passed away very suddenly, and she couldn't handle the whole grief of losing him, which then turned into dementia in her late 60s, and within a few years she just passed away. So until we deal with the emotions in time, if they've already created a physical problem, like in my mother's case, it had already started affecting the brain physically. The brain, the cells were sort of dying. So even if we helped her with her grief, it was not going to change what was happening with the brain physically. It was shutting down a lot of the body functions, right?
Yeah.
So of course, before it gets to that stage, we must deal with it if anybody is experiencing something like that. So at least prevent it and, do whatever best you can.
So does it depend on the cause? What has caused it?
Yes. Another client, similar situation, going through some family troubles over inheritance, right? She's going through fights with the family on inheritance. The stress has caused her hip to stop working. Yeah. And now it's like we're going through different doctors, different surgeries, different healers, all of that. But the point is still that whole emotional trauma of what has happened in her family is not healed for herself. We cannot control what happens with her inheritance. But until she heals what's happened, how she's feeling, that hip is going to start deteriorating because it's already in a terrible state.
Okay, I understand. Thank you.
You're welcome. So our mind body is connected. That's why the yoga and the meditation are the two connecting factors that we must do. But also we must do it in a very informed way, so that it has the effect that you want it to have. Yeah.
Are there any more questions? No. Everybody is shy.
Or sleepy, one of the two.
No.
The advantages of having the camera off, right? If you're snoozing, nobody
They'll see
will
your
know.
face.
Okay. Can I ask you? That
Yes, sir.
means we don't have to wait for something to happen to us. We should do meditation in regular basis, put it in a practice to
Yes.
keep our mind healthy in another emotion.
Yes, but a lot of times people, I don't know how much you've tried, but a lot of times we try to meditate, but we cannot focus our mind on it. Has it happened?
When I do meditation, I fall asleep. That's another thing's happening
See,
to me.
exactly.
Yeah,
Because
but
a lot of times
I used to do meditation for 2 hours and just don't realize that 2 hours gone. But I was floating emotion, floating. I can see my body sitting there and I'm floating, but it's not happening now because when I do the meditation, I fall asleep. That means my mind is relaxed. That's what I was thinking. That it's made me very relaxed. Not thinking, my mind become very kind of shunya.
And the body needs the sleep, that means, because your body is very intelligent, right? So if it is, if that process is making you sleep, then it also tells you that the body needs the sleep. Otherwise, you, like you said, you will be in that transy kind of a state where you can float out and still be present. So a lot of our body is magical. It, even though it's a chemical factory, at the same time it's very magical. It knows what it has to do. It knows what you need, and it will do what you need. But that's okay. There are other ways to meditate, which I will share in the program, which are very interesting to do. So if anybody wants to learn more of other ways of meditating, I'd be more than happy to share with you at the program. Rekha Ben, I'm glad. So no question of snoozing in the interesting session. Yeah, thank you. I hope that helped everybody. And Nita Ben says if one decides to continue to module 7, then we would expect participants to do after that. So Nita Ben, you can either do a rinse and repeat of the 7 days that, there's enough that you will learn that you can rinse and repeat. But if that's not giving you the effect and you need something more, then you can join the next level of the 21-day program after that. So it takes 21 repetitions for the brain to register or create a habit. Okay, which is why I do programs in 21 days. The number 21 is very, very powerful in our Hindu religion. Because of the fact that it takes 21 repetitions for the brain to memorize something. Right? We've all been in school. We did our times tables. I don't know how many times I must have repeated and learned my times tables, but that was the way repetition was done to make us learn something. For the brain to register, it needs 21 repetitions. And you need 90 repetitions for something to become a way of life. So you'll see most programs, if you go to fitness programs, they'll be 3 months or 12 weeks or 90 days. That is the reason behind it. Because once you cross that threshold, it's just become a way of life and you can unconsciously just do it. Yeah. So 21, 90 is usually the golden rule for anything. So does that answer you, Nita Ben? You can repeat everything you've done in the 7 days in your own time, or you can take the additional level and learn and do more with it. Great. Good. So since everybody is active now and not snoozing. Let's see. Is it Santosh Ben? Do you have a question?
Yeah, just I wanted to ask if it is possible, as you mentioned now, okay, if any you want to show us how to meditate. So I am interested in that because I never, I don't know how much I try, but again, I can't concentrate.
Yeah. So there's a different method that I use,
Yeah,
which
I
I
would
find
I would
far more
like,
beneficial. Yeah, yeah. I cover that in the program, so would be very happy to have you there if you'd like to join.
when you are going to give us this program.
So it
Next
starts
program?
on the weekend.
Seventh, I think you
I
mentioned.
mean, Saturday,
Seven.
Sunday, when I mean.
So we'll start on the meditation part. We're going to actually do it on all of the days, but we're going to do it in different ways. So every day, one of the activities is going to be around a meditation method.
But every Sunday they are always happening this. But
It'll be 7
on-
days in a row. It'll be 7 days in a row.
then
for
is
this
so. But Sunday
particular
I
one.
won't be able to come. But otherwise, 6 days
That's
are okay.
fine. No problem. But whatever days you cannot attend, you can still refer the recording because we'll record all the sessions. And we will be in a WhatsApp group only for the people who are participating. So in case you have any questions, you can ask over there. Any clarifications for, let's say that you've seen the recording and you might have a question after that, you can interact in the group itself.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Right. Any further
So
questions?
I'm quite sure we can talk about this all night and still it will not be
Yes.
enough. There are loads of things to share, loads of things to do, I think most importantly. So action is always the key. If we don't put our knowledge into use, then that's no knowledge. It's just information, right? If we don't use it for ourselves, for our well-being, then it doesn't do anything. So Nitaben, it'll be mostly at 7 in the evening after work when people can attend.
7. I think today's time is okay.
Yeah.
And today it started 7:15, 7:45. I think this is the right time actually, because 7 o'clock is almost dinner time.
Yes.
So, if it is possible, please.
Okay, we can definitely work on that depending on how many people will need it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
What can I say? Thank you very, very much, Amisha Ben. That was wonderful. It is a bit of knowledge to digest for everyone and to, try to follow your emotions or correct them the way you want it and be positive always. I think that's the main thing. Emotions is to be involved more. That's Amisha Ben was trying to get into. And for us to, digest it properly, we have to join her 7-day course if we need to. And also, Jayben, I don't know if you've joined our meditation because I think you've just became a member recently, didn't you, Jay Rugani? You should try our meditation on Sunday mornings, and then follow Amisha Ben's meditation as well, because that is more deeply taken in.
That meditation is with a big K, isn't it?
That's right.
Yeah. I tried to join actually a few times. I tried to join, not with our group, but other group. But I couldn't. I just couldn't do it. I couldn't do their meditation at all, because Sunday is I got a yoga class.
Well, ours is 9 o'clock in the morning. If
Yeah,
that
mine's at
doesn't hit
9:15.
you, or 9:15, because what we tend to do is we go on a subject every week. It's a different subject with different sisters or brothers, and then we meditate, and that is completely different as well. And Amisha Ben's is completely different way of meditation. So if you start off with someone and then go into a deeper
Um,
one, that
I
way it
I
will
I
work.
got another one. It's called Breathing Pyramid Group. It's a
Breathing
nine
pyramid,
o'clock.
yes.
9 o'clock in actually, it's already started, and 6 o'clock in the morning.
Mm,
So I do join them 6 o'clock in the morning. It's about half an hour, 40 minutes.
okay.
But if I do 9 o'clock one, I fall asleep because it's the body is relaxing totally.
No, because you're tired and your body is saying, I want my sleep.
I want my sleep, but it's good because
Yes.
I suffer with insomnia.
Yeah.
I suffer
And
with
you do
insomnia
need your
during
sleep.
the COVID period because I was I had my sister. I'm looking after. I'm a carer actually, and during the COVID time, she had a cyst in behind her knee, and she was admitted in hospital. But before the COVID appeared in the UK, my son came and he said to me, "Mom, take Ben Mercy to home because don't keep her in hospital because COVID is coming over here and its whole world will affected." So I brought her here, and then he said to me, "Mom, you become a carer instead of carer coming to look after her, to bathing her
Absolutely.
and do everything." So
Yeah.
I left the job and I just look after her, and that made me very kind of not a fearful but anxiety. The who's coming, who can come, and who shall I allow anybody to visit or anything like that. And that made I just had insomnia problems, so I couldn't sleep at night. So up to 2:30 and in the morning, at 3:30 in the morning, and then I was feeling very tired. So that's why now I can sleep
Mm.
because it's gone. It's gone because now it's it's over now, almost over.
Yeah, because in the beginning, when you started looking after your sister as a carer, it is a big job. It
It
is a
was.
big job. And that was a tension for you. So
Yeah.
that was affecting you not to sleep. You're awake all the time,
Yeah.
thinking, is my sister all right? Is my sister all right? You
Yeah.
want to go and see her 10 times instead of twice. But
Yeah,
that
and she couldn't
was,
even walk. She couldn't even
yeah.
walk. So I had to keep the commode in
So
her
that,
room,
yeah, that is
and I had to make
tension.
sure that she is safely stand up and make her go to the bed again. So that's fully awake, but then tired as well.
That's
So
right. Yeah.
yeah, so now touch wood, I can sleep. But as I said, that at 9 o'clock one, when I attend this meditation class, I fall asleep and then I just go to sleep straight. But yeah, so it's a 6 o'clock I join in as well. 6 o'clock in the morning. It's a 40
That's
minutes.
good. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
good. But if it is a intense one, then I think you should join Amisha Ben and learn something from her as well, because that will help you emotionally as well.
Oh, yeah. Mind with my mind, I'm very, very, very strong person. Physically, I'm not, but my mind is very strong. But again, I said, I always been loaded with the responsibility
Yes,
because of one or another things happening in the life. And I feel that if I just going up and suddenly somebody pulling my leg, I have
you're
to come back.
down. Yes,
Yeah,
yeah,
so that's what happens many, many, many times. But I'm still looking forward that the time will come for me.
right.
Thank you, Panabin.
Thank you. You're
And thank you,
welcome.
Amisha Ben. It's really, really nice talk. And I will
Thank you.
Thank you.
see. Yeah.
Thank
Thank you very
you.
much.
Thank you
Thank you,
very much,
everybody,
Amisha
for
Ben.
giving me
Thanks a lot.
this space, inviting me over, and yeah, an opportunity to share.
Yes, and we'd like you to come again and talk more.
Would be a pleasure. Would be a pleasure.
It will be on a different subject if possible, or continue this conversation somewhere.
Absolutely. But this is my, as I say, specialty. So
Your specialty. That's why I picked you on. And I'm so glad you have given your time for us to listen to you as well. And we have learned quite a lot about it. And I'm sure lots of ladies who would like to join your classes over the weekend. And I wish them all luck and
thank you. Thank you very
gain
much.
something from it as well. Thank you very much again.
Thank
Happy New
you
Year
very
to
much.
you
Thank you,
all.
everyone.
you.
Happy New Year
Happy New
and
Year.
have a
Happy
very
New
good
Year.
night.
Thank you very much, Panaben, to organizing things like that.
Thank you,
It's
Amisha
really
Ben.
Thank you very much,
Thank
Panaben,
you.
Amisha
Thank
Ben.
you.
Thank
Ben.
you. Happy New
Yeah.
Year.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Amisha Ben.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Panik
You're
Wat,
all
Kirinche.
welcome. You're all welcome.
Thank you, Amisha Ben. It was very informative. Thank you.
Excellent.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Nice to know.
Have a
Thank
good
you.
evening.
You
Bye.
too.
Thank
Take
you.
care all. Take care all. We shall
Okay,
catch up
take
again.
care and good night, everyone.
And not
Thank you.
forgetting, we have our first yoga lesson on Saturday. So please join in on Saturday.
Okay.
Thank you. Good night.